Now, not many of us are fortunate enough to have such a beautiful garden as this, but there's still a problem with this space. The dominant focal points are very horizontal. We've got this really big, dark conifer hedge, huge cedars, the large shrubs, square trees, and a large boundary fences. But what's in the middle? It's just a large flat open space. We essentially have 2D planted garden, nothing in the middle, rising up at the sides. Now this was a change of life garden. The owner's children had grown up and they no longer needed a large football field or tennis court or run around space. And the owner wanted to make the garden feel more connected, to not have this huge expanse of lawn. So how could we break the lawn up without enclosing the space? So in this instance, I thought, right, we can put some big sweeping curve in, maybe create more of an entrance in the side of the garden up here, and curve the lawn around to try and soften it a little. I've also undulated the line of the hedge, just again to give it a slightly less rigid feel. And that's fine, it's good. But we can also be more formal. We've got plenty of space in this garden for planting. But what we need to do is introduce more height in the middle. The curves that we had originally still didn't really compete with the big tall trees and hedges around. We really need to put some tree height in the centre of the garden. But we don't want the garden to be closed off and not have this wonderful feeling of a large expansive space. So if we used a couple of large feature borders with trees in them, would that help the garden feel as though it's more connected in the sides and not just an empty bowl of space in the middle? So if I just put in the planting, the borders now so you can see, again, they're much more formal. But again, what we're doing is we're constantly repeating the same colours and the same plants, and you can see how it joins a garden together. Now, another option was to mirror and complement another part of this garden, which was based around a parterre. So I thought if we introduced some small formal parterre shaped beds in the middle, again putting a 3D element to them. So they needed to have height. They got to compete with these big trees around the boundary. But we wanted the underplanting to be soft and light so that we noticed these specimen trees with maybe beautiful foliage or spring blossom. And those trees would fill that empty 3D box in the middle of the garden. But because we're then not creating solid boxes, the garden still feels open. Those grasses would move with the wind, and what we're doing is we're concentrating our focal point to that centerpiece of the parterre to look at the flowers and the plants moving in the breeze. And we'll notice the structural boundaries a little less. So if you can see, I'm just adding in my planting squiggles, and then we've got another bit in the background here that we can mirror put the plants in. So if I just take out my squiggles, you can see the layout. We've got a couple of further borders. But again, we're repeat planting. We're using the same plants near and far to create a much more structured, balanced garden.